Hi, it's Laura here with another installment in our short and sweet spreadsheet series, and today I'm going to talk to you about some differences in formulas and functionality between Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. So I've got this jazzy little Google Sheet here, which if I change some of these drop downs, it updates the conditional formatting here. I will talk through the sheet in another one, and I've got some other ones here again where it updates some conditional formatting, and that also impacts this first tab. And I've got some cool little tick boxes here which can be interacted with, and then in this final tab that's of interest I have just some formatting and some formulas about averages and if statements. And how this expert is calculated is quite a complicated formula down here. Ignore this bit, but here we've actually got an if error, a query, a transpose, and another query formula, which can be used in Google Sheets. So if I want to take this from Google Sheets to Microsoft Excel, the best way to do so is to go File, Download, and then click on Microsoft Excel, and that will save wherever your download files are. And then you can click here and open, and if it's set to open in your Microsoft Excel on your computer, you can open it up and you can see it's copied through, and our drop downs still work, but when we change them the conditional formatting no longer updates. And why that is because if you go and look at this formula, whereas before we were getting the nice query functions, it's now trying to do a dummy function which doesn't actually work. So it doesn't actually update if we do anything, and it's actually imported quite weirdly. And it said if error say Laura, which is a very weird way for it to import, so that formula actually hasn't imported properly at all. And we can also check out our calendar, which is still the same, and we can move this and the conditional formatting still works. So data validation on lists and ranges still works, and so does conditional formatting. However, moving across to our expertise tab, you can see the checkboxes don't work in quite the same way. They're not a nice little data validation setting in Microsoft Excel. They actually come under this developer setting, and it's a bit more complicated to be interacting with them. And finally, on our test scores, you can see the formatting's a little bit off, but it's not terrible. And we've got this weird error, which actually isn't an error. It's trying to say that it's omitting an adjacent cell, but we don't want it to be adding up the student number as well. So we can just say ignore error, and it should hopefully ignore on all of them. So our if statements, our averages still work. So that was just showing some of the changes between Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets whenever you download and from Google Sheets and import into Microsoft Excel. It kind of works the other way as well. So if I was to open my Google Drive, and I've got this social media content calendar from HubSpot as a .xls file, which is a Microsoft Excel file, and I'm going to double click it to open it up in Google Sheets, and you can see it's taking a few minutes to open it in Google Sheets. And what actually happens here is I'm going to get a message across the top saying that some of the content can't be used the other way around. So, oh, it's taking its time. So I've got this. It looks okay. It looks like it could definitely be a Google Sheet, but it says some of the Excel features can't be displayed. So to get a little bit more detail on that, one of the things you can do is just type some random stuff in a cell, hit enter, and then you'll get a message, or you can click this view detail at the side as well. So it's taking a very long time. This is just where my impatience doesn't work. So if we continue to edit named ranges, which is something you can use in Microsoft Excel, won't work in Google Sheets. So these were just showing some of the changes and some of the issues that you might be faced with whenever you try to move between Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. It's good to be aware of these things, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You should just be aware of how that's going to impact your work. Hope this